Hi, everyone. I had some technical difficulties yesterday at the temple when I tried to record my adult Dharma message, and I really felt like I needed to say something. I don't know how much I can add to what's going on. This has been a really, really terrible week on so many levels. I'd like to talk briefly about three people, George Floyd, Christian Cooper, and Hana Kimura. George Floyd should not have died, should not have been killed. That this is just a travesty, and there's these protests happening now. I can't really condone violence, but at the same time, people are mad, and I understand why. This is just awful. I want to say I believe racism is wrong. I'm saying that as a Buddhist, because my understanding is our values are based on Amida Buddha and Buddhism. And Amida Buddha accepts everyone without discrimination. Right? Amida Buddha has this radical equality. Amida Buddha does not discriminate based on age, on gender, on sexual preference, on race, on class. Amida Buddha accepts everyone as they are. And I think that this radical kind of equality is a value for myself as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist. I believe racism is based on incorrect understanding and incorrect assumptions. And part of my life as a Buddhist is to, make incorrect assumptions like that, but see it and realize, maybe this isn't the way it is. Right? We've been programmed in so many ways by our society, by our families, and part of being Buddhist, I think, is kind of becoming aware of that programming, because a fancy word for it is unconscious bias, right? That we learn these things like racism and sexism, and that they aren't overt, right? There's different kinds of racism. The overt racism of white supremacy and George Floyd's killer is, one thing, and it's horrible. But at least it's on the surface. There's another kind of racism that's much more subtle and harder to see. Christian Cooper in New York City, in the park, the bird watching park, I guess, in New York City, and he wasn't killed. He survived. And he told a woman to put her dog on a leash. That's the rule in the park. And, the dog is disrupting the birds and everything. And she immediately tried to weaponize the police against him, tried to use the fact that he was black against him to punish him. And just the speed, the automatic reaction is just really kind of horrible. The crazy thing is, she's liberal apparently, and considers herself liberal, and it's a good lesson, right? That when you find racism in yourself, you can be liberal, you can be whatever, and still be racist, still be sexist. But if you find it, it requires self-reflection, and this is Jodo Shinshu to me. Jodo Shinshu is not only saying Namo Amida Butsu and taking refuge in Amida Buddha, but it's also taking a look inside myself, being willing to engage in self-reflection, trying to increase my self-awareness. Not an easy task. It's much easier to accuse others of racism or the three poisons or whatever. Much harder to find it within myself and be able to see it within myself. And so, this lesson to be learned, to be willing to look within myself. And if I find something there that I don't like racism or sexism or meanness or whatever, to see it. Not to be like, oh, no, I'm not racist. I'm not sexist. No, see it. And I hope if we see it, we realize I don't want to be like that. So if that's something that I hope good can come out of what happened to Christian Cooper, is to realize that I don't want to be like that. And that, a lot of times when it comes out is under extreme circumstances or, not normal circumstances. So it's not something we can just put off and wait. I think it's a process that we have to begin and is part of our life as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists. The last person I'd like to talk about is Hana Kimura. She is was a pro wrestler in Japan and was on the reality show Terrace House. And she committed suicide this past week. And it appears that it was because of cyberbullying. And so I said it at the beginning, racism is wrong, bullying is wrong too. That meanness, right? To be mean like that and to think that I can just criticize someone else. To see that those kinds of actions cause someone to take their life. Apparently a lot of the people that were making those kind of comments deleted their Twitter accounts or whatever. I hope that they said, oh my gosh, my actions affect other people. I was part of this. I was part of the cause. And so, the opposite of bullying that Buddhism teaches is kindness, compassion. And I think part of it can be empathy, right? That when we see others suffering, we feel their suffering. And that can come because I've been bullied. I was bullied in my life. I've been thinking about it this past week. I've been bullied for being half Japanese in the United States, and I've been bullied for not being Japanese in Japan. And so I know what that feels like. And so I don't want to make someone else feel like that. And maybe that part of that realization can help me realize. But it's not only that. It's not just me, right? It's others. And it's Amida Buddha too, right? That I don't have to do this alone. To see my own racism, to see my own meanness is something that I can't do by myself. I need others. I need Amida Buddha to help me in that process. Even being like that, Amida Buddha accepts me as I am, right? Like I said before, Amida Buddha doesn't discriminate. But that doesn't mean then, I can just keep doing it. Right? I think that if I realize that, if I truly realize, wow, I'm embraced by Amida Buddha like this, me, that causes transformation. Seeing that I can hurt other people, seeing that I can be racist, that's part of the process of transforming and not being like that anymore. But have to be vigilant, right? Have to be able to see that in myself. If I don't see it, then it becomes like unconscious bias. It becomes an unconscious thing inside me, right? That can take over, that can cause me to behave in ways that I would not do consciously, and yet in the heat of the moment, maybe. Right? Like I say, it's been a really, really difficult week in many levels. It's been a difficult year, and of course, right, the whole we're sheltering in place and everything, so we're already under a lot of stress. And yet, hearing these stories, seeing this on the news, be careful, don't watch the news too much. We got to be aware, but what the news feeds us isn't always the whole picture, right? And getting too much of it can be upsetting too. So if you feel upset, it's okay to turn it off. In the midst of all this too, just say the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Don't forget to say Nembutsu. This is part of Shinran Shonin's teaching that he received from Honen, to say Namo Amida Butsu. I take refuge in the Buddha. Okay? Engage in this self-reflection. Try to see myself. Without the Buddha, I would just be wandering. I would just be wandering aimlessly. I think I would be kind of a mean person, negative, sarcastic. That's how I was a lot when I was growing up. When we encounter the Dharma, when it touches us, our direction changes. Shinran calls this kind of a turning towards the Dharma, turning towards the Buddha, away from the three poisons of greed, anger, and ignorance, and turning in my life going in a different way. Even though those three poisons are still part of me, that I'm not indulging in them. I'm not just engulfed in that with no other possibilities, right? No, Amida Buddha in front of me, turning so that I'm facing towards Amida Buddha, turning so that I'm listening to the teachings. So take care, everyone. I hope you're all doing okay. reach out to friends or to me or family or whatever if it gets to be too much. And I hope that we can continue to persevere in the midst of these difficulties. So why don't we conclude with Gassho? Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.